I'm Natalie Hayden.
And I'm Laverne Badger.
And we are Expose the Podcast.
We're back. In effect.
All of that.
2024. Expose the Podcast.
Expose the Podcast. All right. Wow.
Girl, I'm Laverne Badger.
I'm Natalie Hayden.
And we are
Expose the Podcast. But it's a lot. It's not just us by ourselves. Can we get a little loudness in the room? Hello? Are we by ourselves? Woo, 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 woo. Well, okay. I will say this. We are back for season 6, and we thought what better way to kick this off is with our young people. We have some youth in the group. We have some youth in the room. Yes. It is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, and we wanted to make sure that our community, our parents, guardians, mentors, community, anyone that is connected to a young person can actually hear the voices, not just of me and Laverne, but we wanted to have youth themselves speak from a place of what's going on in their lives. Because what did we hear when we're with our young people?
So, just let us take a moment to talk about. So this is going to be our first official episode, but we're doing something special. But we get out there and we're dealing with healthy and unhealthy relationships with young people. And these are young as middle school, and they're talking about the situations that they're having in these relationships, but then also feeling like they're not being heard, right? And so it was like, okay, let's give them a platform as to how they can be heard, because there's a lot that you guys can say. So we go in these spaces and thinking we're going to be teaching somebody something, young people something, which we do. But we get a lot back from when we have those conversations with you all. And so you guys were handpicked. These individuals, they are going to introduce themselves shortly, but they were handpicked in regards to be a part of this conversation. So I'm super excited about this. And we dusting off the rust because it's been a minute.
We've been out,
but we back.
We're back. But what I will say is today's conversation is about love loops and how to navigate all of that. And because we don't have a clue, and when I say we, those of us that are not young people and necessarily dating how you all date, we're here to learn something. So we're expecting for you guys to be quite honest with us. And if you could speak to, for one, speak to your peers, speak to that educator, speak to your parents, speak to a guardian, speak to somebody who you think clearly isn't getting it about you. Because we don't know what we don't know. And when I say we, I'm just talking about all of those people that we just named that you could speak to. So this is an opportunity for you to self-advocate, speak to things that, your peers might be dealing with and they may not have the voice. But guess what? We are giving you the voice to speak up on the behalf of not just others, but for one, yourself.
Okay.
Yay.
Y'all good?
Yeah, good. They ready? Okay. Yes. So without further ado, I think we should have a brief introduction. Laverne and I, you guys know who we are, but we want to make sure that everyone is aware of who's in the room, who's going to be sharing and laying it all out and exposing all of the goods. Right. So we can better serve you, better parent you, better support you, all of these things so we can best learn how to walk side by side with you during these most challenging times, because we talking about love loops and that don't sound fun.
Right. So name, where you are, like school, what you're doing, what your interests are, and possible connection to why this topic is important to you.
Well, I guess I'll go first. My name is Tony Austin. I actually just turned 20 last week.
Congratulations.
So,
happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I go to school at UW in Milwaukee. Go Panthers.
All right.
So, the reason why I decided to come here and do this was because of past issues I had when I was younger dating. I wasn't in the right mindset when I was younger in my teenage years. So I would definitely say that this would be great to help help younger people with dating and let them like really understand what they're getting into when it comes to dating.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, Tony.
Love
Thank you
that.
so much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ivana Guerrero Garcia. I'm coming from the Yumos Latina Resource Center as their bilingual lead children and youth family services specialist. Sorry for the long title. But aside from that, my interests are really just involved in the creative world in our city in Milwaukee, really just being involved in our community in whatever way possible, and just creating safe spaces between work and my personal life. I work within at Yumos Latina Resource Center. I facilitate a high school after school group called Yumos Raices. And during that youth group, we focus heavily on healthy relationships, teen dating violence, and also how to have healthy positive relationships, not only between an intimate partner, but also within the community, within their parents, within their friends, and within each other, most importantly.
Man,
Wow,
that's
that's a
amazing.
mouthful,
That's
right?
a, that's a,
You
that's
are
a beautiful
busy.
thing.
Yes,
Yes, thank
thank-
you.
And then I can pass it to my friend back here.
Hi, I'm Amira. I'm in school for business analytics. I'm a para at Congress. I'm interested in this because I see day to day, like, eighth graders think they got like little boyfriend, girlfriends, and like I just want to, like, younger me, like he was saying, to have like more healthy relationships with teen dating and just things like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lilia. I go to Bradley Tech High School. I'm a freshman. I don't really have any hobbies, but the reason why this topic is important to me is because I'm a young youth, and things have changed ever since, people grow up, and I want to make people more aware of, now situations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Nati Rodriguez, and I'm 18 years old. I go to Divine Savior Holy Angels, and I'm part of Yumos Raices too. I'm a leader. I'm also an artist. I plan to go to art school soon and everything like that. And kind of my whole deal is like healing my community and really connecting to my community in positive ways. And it's just like being a part of like the South Side and like understanding a lot of cultural things that go on with like the Hispanic community and like violence and like domestic violence too, and like dating is like very, very, sometimes it can get like misconstrued in that sense. And there's just a lot of like expectations as a youth, and just to talk about it. So
Yes, let's talk about it. Yes.
Well, hello. My name is Romero, and I go to Hamilton. And go Wildcats! Whoop, whoop. Really, my hobbies are really working with the community, working with the youth. Ever since I started working with my mom as a young person, my hobby was always to work with youth and in the community to help them and to let them know that they have a voice. That's really why I'm here, is to also let them know that you have a voice. It's okay to talk about what you're going through, especially in relationships and through your day-to-day life, that you have a voice, that you can talk about it, and that people are here to listen for you. And that's why I'm here. So let's get this out.
Okay.
Man,
Come
thank you,
on
thank
up
you,
in
thank
here with
you.
this conversation.
Woo. Well, I would say we can go ahead and kick it off. The first thing we're going to address, and you all are not talking to just us, but we want you to talk to the room, and the room is Facebook Live. There will be some additional participants, but anyone on Facebook, they could land in the category of an educator, a parent, a guardian, a friend, a peer, a foe, whoever. But I want you to speak to them when we ask you about giving us a brief overview of understanding love loops. What is your perspective on the complexities of love for young people like you? I know that's a mouthful, but just think about it for a moment. How can we best understand your perspective of the complexities of love? Like, what does that look and feel like? How are we missing it?
Well, I think it's very different now, especially with like social media in that sense. You know, there's like a lot of instances where, you know, sometimes love is only really shown through like texting and like that's like the only kind of opportunity and you know, it's less of like a like physical connection but more of like a virtual connection, which is really interesting and sometimes it can really hurt like work for people that I'm not like trying to downgrade, but at the same time it can become a little toxic at the same time, you know, and yeah, so
Okay. Okay. What I hear is disconnect, right? From being able to virtually connecting is a disconnect, a human disconnect. Okay.
I feel like now that we have like social media, it's easier for people to just say hi, how you doing, I like you over the phone. Not a lot of people are in person anymore. Going on dates anymore. Haven't really seen it or heard of it. I think social media has a big impact on dating now and online dating and stuff like that. So it can be a thing where people just, like I said before, just go online, and it's so much easier now to just, like I said, go online, find somebody that you like. Tinder, you can find somebody that you like, talk to, and then
Swiping left, right?
swiping left, swiping right, right, and then like when you see them in person, it's like now you're shy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you said all these things to me on over the phone, but now when you see me, you're shy, and it's like you don't want to be yourself now. It's all because of the world that we live in now with social media.
Again, a disconnect. So what I'm hearing is a disconnect.
Disconnect. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Anybody else want to speak to a brief overview and perspective on love for young people?
Yeah, definitely to add on to social media and that disconnect that young people are experiencing or just noticing amongst their peers, themselves, or just relationships in general. I think an important component to add to that too is on top of social media, like they're influencers, right? Celebrities, actors, actresses, mentors, leaders, who are these people, these young people looking up to? And, whether they're a celebrity or their lifestyle is publicized or even glamorized, that expectation and those standards are kind of being translated to our young people. And that's something that they should aspire to achieve as well. Failing to kind of neglect that any relationship, every relationship at that is going to be different. No matter if you follow every step that this person, this couple is doing or that this individual is doing, it's not going to necessarily translate the same to your personal relationship or with your current partner just because, life, all of our lives are different. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have different perspectives. And social media is just so surface level that sometimes it really neglects to portray the reality of what these young people are really being influenced by.
Wow.
Wow. So in between this, you guys, I'm going to ask a question because I'm the community, right? Okay. So when y'all have something, if you say something and it triggers, I'm going to ask. So what I hear is that where I keep saying disconnect is because there's that human component that's missing. So in your dating situations, because you guys look at that as being a problem, are you taking the initiative to make sure you're making more human connections? Are you dating, or are you still sticking to the whole social media?
This is why I mess with her, because I was thinking the same thing, and I'm so glad you asked that.
Because how do we change it if that's something y'all have the power?
Well, here's the thing. This is the thing with me. I don't think I've ever done online dating like that. I mean, I used to, but it's like I just stopped doing it because you don't really see that person for real. Mm-hmm. You may see a picture of them and you may think, oh, they're nice, they're cute, whatever. And then when you like see them, they act a different way. There was situations where, I know in middle school where we used to do like the like the paper pass thing.
Yeah. If you like me,
say yes. Yeah. That was more fun to do versus how it is now. It's like there's no fun in it anymore. There is no
copying and pasting.
Right. Pretty much.
Or either getting catfish.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. And even like with you saying that with the circle yes or no, that really correlates with social media, because nowadays the circle yes or no was because either, oh, I'm shy, what if she say no, or what if my homeboys laugh at me? And that's why I feel like some of the youth use social media so they can hide behind it and be like,
Exactly.
well, did nobody see her say no, so I'm cool, I'm straight. Because in this day and age, most of the young people are afraid of rejection. And to answer your question, I try to do dating and go out on dates, but the way that the calendar is set up and stuff like that, it ain't gonna. It don't work all the time. It be booked and busy sometimes. Let's do a church date. Meet me at church, because that's my only free day, I think. After.
But back to what you said about social media, I feel like social media has become a mask. People actually use that to like hide themselves, because like you with that before social media, that's all it was. You had to go to that person to let them know, hey, I like you, whatever, or ask somebody for prom. Now it's like people are doing things digitally. It's like it's not like I said before. The fun is lost. It's not fun anymore to do it online.
How can you guys make it fun? You really do hold the power. I don't want to really necessarily even give the digital and social media like all of that power, because we get to engage or not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I won't cut you off. To be spontaneous.
Okay.
Well, go ahead and say it anyways. Be spontaneous. I mean, I understand that there is a lot of fear in this world, and there are a lot of other things and stuff like that. And I know, like, when people go to school, like, even with me, I am not finna ask you out in front of all your friends. So then when y'all go back home, y'all go in the group chat, girl, boy, guess what? Well, so-and-so, no. I do have a little bit of a stage fright, but be spontaneous with it. Even if it's like going to get some roses and bring them up to school or something, like, just be a little spontaneous, be a little special with it. Do something different than what they doing now in this generation. Like, hey, can I come over? Or, hey, what you doing? Right. Be different.
Actually think about what you're doing. Like, have a thought about it. Don't just throw it out there, because it's like there's no passion, there's no love with it, and you're just doing it just to do it.
Before we move on, I do want to hear from one of our girls and dating and their opinion and how that is perceived.
Yeah, I think one thing that, like, I think one thing that we're kind of, like, forgetting, too, is that, in this generation, we had to deal with COVID, and we were online for a really long time. And I was in my freshman class, and that's how I met all my friends. It was through social media. And it's this kind of thing that's just like now, because of, meeting people on social media and getting to know them, they kind of brought in this, like, love aspect that, if I could make friends on here, that means I can make relationships on here. So it's that kind of thing that's just like we kind of reinvented a different way of like how we meet people and how we connect to people. And I'm not going to sit here and be like it's like completely bad, because I have benefited from it as like having friends now, but it was pretty difficult having to come from online to like in person, because we were in such an isolated time of our lives that we really had to learn how to be social again. So
Okay. Anybody else wanted to?
Okay, so we'll go to the next one. That's okay. So I think some of these we're weaving into the next one. So what we have on here is some of the challenges that you guys have when it comes to romantic relationships. And what I heard was, of course, social media, right? So because people can pretend to be something else, that they're not the same person when you're in person. And is there any other challenges outside of social media that you see can be challenging when you're dating? We'll start off with the young ladies.
So I found one of the challenges I'd had while dating, I haven't had much experience with dating, but for me, it's just the way people portray themselves. Some people might be overly confident saying, oh, it's like, it doesn't matter if you break up with me, I could get somebody else. Or it's just the fact that sometimes people portray themselves to be this higher person and like, sometimes when someone is a higher person, you're like, oh, I can't trust them, or I can't, really do anything without them. And I feel like it's just mainly problems if we have now is trust, or how we see people, because like I realize some people, when they see when someone does one bad thing wrong, they judge their whole entire person. So
it's like a one and done.
Yeah.
So
The minute you mess up, it's over with.
it's over.
Yeah.
So you don't get a second chance.
That's what's happening in this generation. It's a lot of people find, like, as far as cheating, that's out of the question, or anything in that matter. It's like you really can't mess up, and it's like kind of bad for the people who are trying to be Mr. Right and Mrs. Right, but it's like a lot of people try to like throw that away. So yeah.
Yeah, and no one is perfect. So for people who be like, if you did this, we done. I never really understood that, because you make mistakes, I make mistakes. That's what a relationship is really about: making mistakes, talking about it together, and trying to figure out how to get around it again, how to not go through this same cycle again.
And no one's perfect either. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm coming on up in here because I'm community. And
Come on, community.
And so, do we not have to have boundaries, though?
Absolutely.
So,
Oh, no.
people make mistakes, but do we set boundaries to say, okay, this is a mistake you made,
Or
but
this
I'm not
is a
going
deal
to,
breaker.
yeah, and I'm not going to give you another
Here's the
chance.
thing,
So,
I believe in chances. So if you make one mistake, if you make it like once or maybe twice, that's one thing. But to keep doing that same mistake, it's like, okay, now you know what you're doing.
it's not a mistake.
It's not a mistake anymore.
Mhm.
So it's one thing to, get a person a chance and then just be hard on them and they expect them to do everything that you want them to do without even giving them a chance to redeem themselves and try to make it right.
Is there a thin line between a healthy relationship and unhealthy relationship when you give too much?
There can be at times. I would say a healthy relationship. It would be like basically if those two people are actually on the same same boat as each other. They both understand where each other is coming from, versus an unhealthy relationship, allowing that person to do whatever they want, allowing that person to say whatever they want, mistreat you and all that stuff, but you still want to keep being with them. I feel that's like unhealthy, because it's like for that person who has to deal with that, it's hurting them, because they're having to deal with somebody else who is cheating, or and I say cheating a lot because it's happened to me, of course. So cheating, and then you just negative vibes, all that stuff that can put somebody down.
So, ladies, I want to piggyback off that in regards to problems with romantic relationships. He talks about cheating, but is cheating, do we tend to get, as females, we're talking about females now, girls, into these committed relationships way before we should, and have an expectation? As a whole, do we because part of a relationships is taking accountability for some of the things that we do and bring to the table as well, right? So are you finding that could be part of the problem? Because boys or young men say, we ain't in a relationship, but she over here saying we in a whole relationship. So is that something
I feel
that
like
you find?
when you saying like, oh, we in a relationship, because me personally, like, if I'm talking to somebody, we get into a relationship. So you shouldn't be talking to this person, talking to that person, like no, like that's not okay. Because if you are, I understand it's like dating, like you dating or whatever. But if we got a mutual understanding of what we doing, you shouldn't be going off talking to this person, talking to this person. And me personally, like, I'm not finna sit there and teach you how to treat me. Like, you're not finna get chances after chances. Like, no. Like,
I think you said something really key, which is you said we have a mutual understanding. And oftentimes, I think many people, whether we're young or just in a relationship, we haven't discussed or had a discussion about what we're doing, like as the stages progress or not. If we're not going beyond that, then are we just stopping here, or have I gone on to the next stage and you still like sitting, So that mutual understanding is really important, and sometimes it just requires us to sort of speak up and say, "Hey, what are we doing?"
Right, exactly. And to piggyback off of what you two said, especially with the healthy relationship and the talking, that's where I call HTT: honesty, trust, and transparency.
Okay.
HTT: honesty, trust, and transparency. Because if we are talking, or if we are in a healthy relationship, there has to be honesty. We got to be honest to each other about what we going on. What are we? Are we talking? Are we together? Are you like what's going on? Trustworthy. I gotta be able to trust you, that I know that if I go somewhere, you ain't go do something on my back. And transparency, like, tell me for real, tell me the truth. Like,
So for the old people in the back community in the back. Now what we learned is, so I'm assuming some of the adults are on live listening to this, and what we learned early is that what we considered talking in our day is different than what you all's definition of talking is. Please explain what dating, talking, and being in a full-blown relationship.
The differences.
Yeah, the differences.
I'm old school.
She said, "Wait a minute, I'm a pass the mic."
I don't know.
Okay.
At least for me, like, I feel like talking is like at least showing interest that, I find this person like either physically attractive or like emotionally attractive, and it's just like showing that attraction in that sense. And then like dating, I feel like that's like we were talking about it in the car, and like what consists of dating in that sense. And we were saying like I feel like dating is just so much more harder than like being married in that sense, because it's just like, at least with marriage, there's like a legal obligation of you being together and everything like that. But dating, it's like you have to make a choice to be with this person and have these struggles with like, other people, like visually sometimes not seeing that you guys are in relationships, or having to deal with other people might be interested in this person at the same time. And it's just like commitment is just like probably a little bit more key than in marriage, because
So dating is not in a monogamous relationship. Is dating? So are you committed? You guys are exclusive. That's what dating means. Okay.
That's how she explained
That's
it.
how
Yep.
you're
Definitely,
exclusive.
I would
Okay.
agree. Commitment has to be the number one thing when it comes to dating. You have to be committed. You can't just be like, "Oh, I want to date," and then you're doing some other stuff.
Yeah.
You have to be 100% committed to that person. That person should be on your mind almost 24/7 for real.
Right.
After Jesus.
24/7.
Right. So to be able to do that, how can you emotionally take care of each other? What are some of the ways where we get caught up in unhealthy relationships because we're not taking care of each other emotions
Emotionally.
and our mental states?
I feel like asking healthy questions, even though they're uncomfortable, like, what do you think there's some things we need to fix on our relationship, or what are there some things that you don't like about a relationship, or what we can improve? I feel like even though those questions may sometimes be uncomfortable, it's important to ask.
Yes.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah, I also think too that like not to be like fully indulged in this person, because that can turn like really unhealthy. And like,
Yes.
Especially when you're like in high school and like when you're like growing and figure yourself out, having friends and having like, people who aren't in a relationship, or like that you are just like only friends, is like really important,
Right.
because it's just like you have that person that's just not necessarily your 100%, but like you have them as like, I can be just like a whole different person with you,
So has and we put a prerequisite out there. You can answer if you want, if you're comfortable. Has anybody experienced an unhealthy relationship, and what made it unhealthy?
Oh yeah.
Well, let me tell you.
Let me buckle your seatbelts. Let's go for a ride.
Oh,
No,
wow. Let's go.
Well, yes, I believe that all of us have experienced either one or unhealthy relationship, but I definitely have went through it with one of no names, one of this person, and it was unhealthy because she would lie about everything she did. And I'm like, I got your location, so you can't lie to me about I'm at home. No, you're not. Your location says you're somewhere else. And then she would cheat. And then she would try to say, she'd try to be like, no, I'm not doing nothing. You doing nothing. Try to revert the blame back to me like I'm doing something.
Okay.
And it made it unhealthy and very aggravating and annoying because, like, I see what's going on. You can't try to lie and play me like I'm the fool when I see what you're doing. Like, I can see it all. Like, I may not be actually there seeing it, but, like, I see the signs of the toxicness. I see the signs of, like, what's really going on here. And why did she do it? I don't know. But I do see that this is unhealthy for me because to me, I was falling in love with her. Like you said, we shouldn't indulge, and I wasn't like that. But, like, I was falling in love with her, but it seemed like she was just there for a different reason. Like, she was probably just there for maybe some money or just to have somebody on her arm to go places with. But, like, I don't know what it was. She was there for a different reason, and I was there for, like, maybe she the one. But she wasn't the one.
Okay.
So the person, I'm actually currently still talking to this person. So we actually had a conversation that, you know, me and her agreed that when we were dating in high school, we had a very unhealthy relationship because we didn't know each other. And that's like the key thing right there. If you just try to get into a relationship with somebody that you don't know, chances are you're going to always have fallouts. You're going to always have arguments. Everything that they do is going to make you mad and just not going to look right. And so that was the thing. I feel like we were rushing into a relationship. We weren't really trying to get to know each other. We were just trying to love each other and just be like, I love you so much and this and the third. But we didn't know the problems that we had. Me and her have our own situations going on, had our own situations going on, and we didn't really know how to like talk about it. And so that's a thing that we need to do as, you know, as a people, get to know somebody before you date them. You know, like get to know who they are, what they're about. If you really want a healthy relationship, I would say be their friend first.
Yep.
And then it's just like now that you like really know them, see if you still want to be in a relationship with them.
Right.
So that's the thing. That was that thing for me. How I acknowledged that I was in an unhealthy relationship, and she also did too, and we're good now. So yeah,
Talked about
great.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, to kind of piggyback off of what Tony had mentioned about, Tony, correct? Yeah. Okay, but I wanted to make sure I got the names right. And touching on this question about being in an unhealthy relationship, for sure, I've definitely had unhealthy relationship experiences. I don't want to say necessarily that they were full-on relationships because they were getting to know the individual, right? And going back to the original question about what's the difference between talking, dating, and then being full-on, and what Nati mentioned about being married, right? Or just being on a fully committed relationship. I definitely think like talking is getting to know somebody, feeling them out, maybe still playing the field a little bit, being like, you know, I got my couple options, you know, not playing all all the eggs in one basket. Yeah. I think that's how the saying is. Dating, what we're talking about this, as they had mentioned, like in the car, it's a little bit more exclusive. You're committed to that one person, and then when you're married, you're kind of like devoted to that person, right? You're loyal. You go through the turbulences together. Between dating and in marriage, but going back to what the dating too is like, it's a choice. It's an everyday choice that two individuals continue to move forward together and grow and accept each other's imperfections. So I just had to state my share my opinions on that. But to go back to the original question about experiencing unhealthy relationships, yeah, my current partner and I, we were in a very toxic relationship, I must admit, and that was touching on what Tony said about we didn't know each other. We were completely new to each other. It's not like we grew up with each other since elementary school, middle school, and high school. We met when I was a freshman in college through like mutual friends. And yeah, I definitely think we wanted to like jump the gun really fast. Like, we're two new people. We're really excited getting to know each other. It's somebody new in our lives, something exciting, right? Showing us different perspectives. And then like we wanted to love each other like a little bit too fast, right? Kind of neglecting like, okay, wait, this is actually where I'm at right now in my life. You know, I actually have some healing to do because of my previous relationship or because of what I'm going through with my family. And when you're trying to force a connection to work while also trying to navigate those areas of healing, it's bound to happen. Heads are going to be bumping, fallouts are going to happen, miscommunication is going to occur. Because I say this often with the youth group too, is that relationships are definitely trial and error, right? There is a boundary of how much you're going to tolerate, but still allowing somebody to make mistakes and making that decision if you're willing to, one, forgive them and move forward with them and grow from it, or still reflect on it, forgive them, and decide like, actually, this is my tipping point, right? This is like my last straw. Doesn't mean that we have to hate each other and not like each other, but maybe being in a relationship isn't for us. Maybe we're just better as best friends. Maybe we're just better as just people that we connect with, associate with. Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with being best friends with your ex. I'm just gonna say that right now. People think people think, oh, y'all gonna get back together. No, there's nothing wrong with being cool with someone that you dated before. I've seen a lot of people. I know a lot of people who are still cool with their ex and they're still good friends. Nothing is wrong with that.
So I love that, because the only way you can get to that is the emotional intelligence. What you just gave, thank you for being transparent there in regards to your experience with the unhealthy relationship, but you have to identify what that is, right? So otherwise you're going to keep making the same mistakes in relationships. So what I heard you say is that you were in it. It feels good. New relationships feel good. Oh my God, somebody's doing something different. They're meeting certain expectations. But then when you finally recognize that is the growth, right? So being able to say, next relationship, I learned I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to let this person do this to me, right? So kudos. That was well explained in how you have experienced that.
You. And really quick to add on to that, like during our discussion too, or anything like I mentioned, it's not to scare anybody in being in a relationship, because being in a relationship is ultimately, it should be fun, it should be a source of joy, a positive outlet and stuff like that. But I feel like, because again, especially on like the influences of social media or just influencers in general, sometimes that it's like neglected that us as humans are just a little bit imperfect, and it's okay to accept people for their imperfections, and make that choice as an individual, not because of what your friends said or because of what your parents said, but you deciding for yourself what's the best choice moving forward for you, like because at the end of the day, your parents or the people close to you may have an idea of what your relationship is, but they don't know exactly what goes inside of that relationship day in and day out. Maybe they just, because they care about you so much, because they just love you and they want to protect you, they see that partner as I'm saying, somebody who's toxic, somebody who maybe who isn't the best, maybe somebody you should stay away from, but like they really don't see the nitty gritty of it, right? They don't see the affection that's going on, they don't see the conversations that occur, that's what makes that connection a little bit harder to either let go or also to kind of see like, okay, if they work through it out, it'll get better, right? And again, that can touch on maybe not wanting to project false promises, because sometimes it just won't work out, and that's okay for relationships not to work out, but going through the trial and error, you never know what the end result can be.
So we're going to let you do your comment, but that's a good segue. We're going to take a quick break after your after you make your comment, in the segue as to how parents and adults view your relationships, how we want you to now talk about to the parents of how they don't understand. Get us to understand. So when we come back from a break, we want to better understand what you guys are. Yes.
Anybody
that's how it's
feeling loopy?
Yes. So if you guys are listening out there too, go ahead and put your questions or something in the chat. But we're going to let you make your comment, and we're going to take a quick 5-minute break.
Well, I was going into that.
Oh, okay. Then you want to hold it? Then you want to hold it?
Do you want to hold it?
We can hold it. We can hold
Okay.
it. It's
Okay.
get deep.
So, yeah. Oh, yes.
Because
so,
we're going to go deeper into the loops. But what we will do is we'll take a quick 5-minute break.
Yes. And we will go ahead, take questions if anybody got questions, and we'll be right back.
And we are Expose the podcast. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Shay. I am here in support of the podcast. I've been following them since the podcast began. I think that they do a great job of recognizing those who've been through the struggle and that are now thrivers. Hey everybody, I'm Brandy Iberia. Oh my God, y'all, I am always excited to be here to support anything that Natalie and Laverne do with Exposed Podcast. When I see the longevity and the consistency of what they do, not only to support people, but to celebrate people, I have to be a part of it. It is also dear to my heart because I know some folks that have dealt with domestic violence, that are still dealing with it. And so when I see things like this, it shows me that we don't just have to be victims, we can also be survivors.
In the face of adversity, against negative thoughts, say, I am a thriver. One more time.
My name is Vaughn Mays, community activist. Shout out to Laverne, shout out to Natalie, shout out to Expose the Podcast. I'm just here to support. Of course, we are always on the ground. Conforce, MKE in Milwaukee, assisting families, assisting women and children, instances of domestic violence, sex trafficking. Just here to support as y'all are here to honor me today. I appreciate that. Much love.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kyron Webb. I would like to thank Laverne and Natalie at Expose the Podcast for this awesome work you're doing in the community to bring awareness to domestic abuse. I, as a survivor, sincerely empathize with those who are still going through, and I encourage you to reach out and get help, that there is light on the other side. Peace and love.
My name is Paris Sappho. I'm an intern with Expose the Podcast. This issue is important because it's plaguing our society and we need to put a stop to it. I will be at the walk, so I hope to see all of you there.
Welcome everyone to our 4th annual hashtag Let Them Live. If you can give it up for the hashtag Let Them Live DV annual event. Thank you so much for being here. Laverne and I would like to say thank you to each and every last one of you.
My name is Calvin Lee, and I'm a proud board member of Expose the Podcast. We are out here for the 4th annual Let Her Live Run Walk event. I'm here primarily because I want to advocate for those that are silent, who need the help in our community.
Hi, my name is Melina, and I'm out here today on this fine Saturday morning supporting Expose the Podcast for their 4th annual domestic violence awareness walk run, the big 5K, guys. I am so excited to be here. This is so full of purpose, guys. Well, I'm proud to be a volunteer for all the work that they're doing with their Let Them Live campaign. And I am so excited that everyone has come out.
Hey, I'm G, owner of G's Clips. I'm out here in support of Exposed Podcast, 4th annual Run Walk.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike. I'm out here to support the 4th annual run on Expose the Podcast. I think it's super important to be out here today just to support a really important cause.
Good morning. My name is Anisha O'Reilly, and I'm here at the 4th annual Expose the Podcast Walk Run. I'm excited to be here supporting this morning. This is very important because what you can expose, you can analyze. And what you analyze, you can correct. And so we're here to expose domestic violence, analyze it, and correct it. Thanks so much.
So we're back. We're
back from a quick break.
I know. So here's the thing.
Just when it was getting heated.
We had to come back sooner than we thought because the conversation
was starting to pick up.
Woo! So we didn't want any of you to miss this. So let's double back around. So as I said before, we're going to go into how we speak to our parents and adults and when we're in these relationships. But it was a lot of question about location. So you brought up saying when
somebody
you told
in the Facebook chat said, "Wait a minute, that's a little interesting."
Yes. So this is what we're talking about. So is location for me is like what? And so location for you is that it was regular. Like is that something you chose or you guys agreed upon? How did that go? And explain location. Start there.
Okay. For my iPhone users, I'm going to start there.
There you go.
Location is, you get to share your location with another iPhone user. You can share for an hour. You can send your location, and then you can share indefinitely. And if we are in a relationship, you press share indefinitely with me. That's not something that we talked about. That's just one of the things for me. If we together, I need to know where you at. You need to know where I'm at, because then we go back into being spontaneous. I might just pull up on you, bring you something.
So that's a very thin line between stalker, sketchy-ish versus spontaneousness. I just want you to see how a parent, like if I was a mother and you were dating my daughter, I would be like, no, you share indefinitely. Only with me. This person you can share when you get to a location and y'all agree for an hour for the day, but indefinitely is a little strange if we not married. So I can get married, but even in marriage,
I don't share my location.
Laverne don't share her location.
I'm just 20 years.
We just try help us understand. And maybe it's a generational thing.
So we don't take this wrong. This is the deep conversation we talking about.
Trying to figure
We're not
it out.
trying to be no judgment here, right? We just trying to understand that communication. I know the one thing I missed is you said you didn't communicate that with her. It was something you required.
Yeah, it's something. Well, it's even like, but any girl I do talk to, when it's come up to location time, before I even say share your location, she tell me share my location.
Oh, so y'all have a mutual understanding.
Yeah. When it comes to anybody that I am talking to in a relationship, before we even start dating, if there's a game called 21 Questions.
Okay.
I don't play that game. I have 21 questions saved in my phone that I copy and paste, send to you. You answer, I answer. And so we know what's going on and how we finna do this. But when it comes to location, depending on the comfortability with her and her parent, depending on what age you are, will be depending on if the location is shared indefinitely or if it isn't.
Okay.
Because with me, when people meet me, they love me. Because what's not to love about me? I'm sweet, gentle, and I'm a great, great, great young man. And so, of course, even before the location is shared, of course I have to meet the parents and stuff like that. Because then I done already been to your house. So if the location is shared indefinitely, I know you at home because I done been there already. For the right reasons.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Help us out.
Right.
So my question is, do you feel like because when you say share people's locations, do you feel like you can't trust them?
No.
That was my next question.
See, that is a good question. No, actually, one thing about me is I had trust issues, but I don't anymore. But no, then it goes back to that being spontaneous thing for me. Because my schedule is real crazy. So let's say it's Valentine's Day and I had a meeting already planned before we got together. Right. Let's say the meeting got canceled.
Right.
I'm not finna be like, oh, where you at? I'm finna come over, bring some flowers. I'm gonna be spontaneous and just pop up and bring you flowers. So it's not really about the what did you say?
Trust.
It's just about us being together. So like that I'm not at home. So if I'm not at home, more than likely I'm working or I'm in a meeting, and let's say you try to call me, I'm not gonna answer because I'm not at home.
So has any of you all know about the location?
Yes.
Who's okay with the location? You guys are all okay with sharing your location
indefinitely?
Let me tell you why I'm not okay with the location.
Okay.
I'm not okay with it because I feel like if If you or I have to have a location set for you, that means I can't trust you. That's just me. If you make me feel like I have to watch your every move to make sure you don't do anything you're not supposed to do, that just tells me I can't trust you, and I shouldn't have to put a location on you or a tracker on you to know where you are at all times.
Ooh, they talking. What y'all
Yes,
saying?
what y'all
Say
saying?
something.
Come
I wanna
on.
hear. Help us out.
Because you guys are okay
Yeah.
with the location.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just like at least coming with the culture of like social media and everything like that. Status is like a big thing. You know, you can go on like Instagram and you can see, you know, if someone's like on Instagram, and it's that kind of separation anxiety of someone that like you can talk to them in person, virtually, just all the time. So it's like also that kind of thing too, that like, you know, unintentionally we share our locations like with Snapchat and just with all this thing that like even with it like without relationship we know where everybody is. So it's just like part of the culture, I guess, and just like having to know, you know, everybody is available at one point, you know. So.
But are we always available? And I'm just asking because now I'm
'Cause she
community.
in the community. Right. Come on to the community.
I'm part of the community because I mean, like, am I always available all the time? Like this young man said, "Hey, I'm booked and busy in meetings, and I might be on green on social media because I don't, you know, but I may not be available to you. And is that going to be an issue? Am I going to be like dinged or held accountable because I'm not answering my phone, but my location, I mean, I'm probably not sharing my location with you, but I mean,
Well, there where it goes with the HTT again.
Okay, thank you.
Honest, trust, transparency.
That's right.
If we are in a healthy relationship, I know that if you don't answer the phone, either you are busy or you're doing something.
So it's about knowing a person,
Yeah, you
and
have
then
to,
you
right.
do
And
trust
then-
them.
So let's say we just started dating today. I'm not gonna make you share your location with me that exact day. We just started dating. The location gets shared like after we know each other. So like if I know that you busy like me, like this girl I was just talking to, we were both busy. So I know that she had stuff and I had stuff. So we rarely had a chance to go out on dates and stuff like that. But if I know that you're booked and busy like I am, and then I call and you don't answer, well, she busy. I'll
Yeah.
call her back. I text her.
Okay.
Like, being available isn't the thing.
Okay. Come on. I'm really interested
The
in
community is
hearing,
wanting to know.
it. Yes.
We the community.
I'm a
we
half and
yes.
half community, half teenagers over here.
Help us
Because
out.
I'm only 23, but to kind of add to bring light into the conversation, kind of grouping in everything that was mentioned too. Yes, there is a fine line between being stalkerish and also to just wanting to just be in the loop, right? Love loops, right? Be in
Yeah.
the loop with your
Yeah.
with your partner, or even too. What I wanted to bring is friends, right? I shared my location with my best friends. They indefinitely. So if I can share my location with my best friends, and these are like I have friends, but then I have my best friends, and those close friends are my best friends, and those are the ones that have my location. I don't have my location shared to all 30, 40, whatever people that I know, but those are the people, in case something happens to me, those are the people I want to know that kind of like checking up on me.
Yeah.
Right? Like a car accident can occur. Again, like being busy, like my schedule is all over the place, and sometimes being asked, what are you doing, irritates me. Like being asked, like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm at work. Like I feel like having to add on to those questions is kind of over explaining myself in that moment when I'm not ready to really share that yet. Like I'll tell you what I'm doing, like when I see you and we're having dinner or we're gonna meet up, and they're and create that dialogue, that conversation. But like if you want to know that I'm okay or whatever, well, you have my location, like just check it. I say I'm at work. Well, you know, work kind of consists of being all over the place.
Yeah.
So like just ask me, like, instead of like where am I at, be like, are you okay? And then, you know, kind of just like change the language a little bit. But I definitely do think depending on your relationship, right? Like the individual's schedule or just how they are as a person, like the sharing your location, I feel like is just kind of like a cushion in that relationship. It shouldn't be mandatory, right? People should feel comfortable when it's being shared, but it's also people just share for different reasons. Maybe also too, like for safety, like I had mentioned, or too, like maybe they did have trust issues in the past, and hey, like maybe that just offers them a little reassurance. But that conversation should obviously be be had with your partner or your person, and like come with a compromise, right, between them. Maybe I share my location with you during the weekends, right, because at work I have during the weekday I have a pretty standard schedule, work, school, back at home kind of a thing, right, but the weekend gets a little bit more flexible. Just compromise, I feel like, is a big thing when it comes to that topic of locations.
Okay.
I
You
love
want
it.
to say something on location? So, okay, so from now we're going to switch. So we all heard about location, right? So now we're going to switch over to parents and what parents think, what authority figures think, and how we want to protect you from certain things, right? So then our protection seems
Helicopterish.
yeah, like it like we're trying to prevent fun from happening, but part of raising kids in community is being able to take our experiences and trying to shelter you from them or give you some advice and protect you from yourselves sometimes, right? Or when you're in certain relationships, like other people can see certain things that you can't necessarily always see. Now, our antennas all went up for everybody in this room over 20. I mean, 23, over 23, because you're the oldest, I think, in here. About the location is because there is that thin line between, I wouldn't say stalking, but also just control, right?
Yeah.
Because those are some of those red flags we talk about where unhealthy relationships can begin. And but if it's communicated where it's a mutually agreed, and also if it's if you guys do share your location, is there a consequence for not being where you say you are or something? That's when you start to know that it's not healthy. So we may not, this is good information for us. We may not understand it. You all agree, only one disagreed, but for the most part, are you guys agreed that it's okay to share your location? So that's new and a learning for us, but just for us on the other standpoint is just be aware when that doesn't feel right anymore, because that's when it can switch.
I just want to say the only reason why I disagree with it is because, because I feel like if y'all like just now like dating, and like say a week goes past and that's already the topic, it can come off as, okay, like, do you even trust me? Do you want to trust me before we go to that? I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that people, share locations. My thing is a lot of person to gain trust from you before you just start asking them for their location, their password, and stuff like that. Give that person a chance to let you trust them. So that's why I kind of like I'm off the fence on it.
So that's where now we back to the beginning of disconnect, right?
Yeah.
So instead of us all authentically and organically communicating where we are and what we're doing, we have created these devices to be put in place of that human interaction.
To dictate.
Not to say that our technology is not a good thing. It's a good thing. That locator is great. That's a great tool that have saved a lot of lives and things of that nature. So I wouldn't say that we shouldn't have it. It's just one of those additional things that can, not used properly, can be harmful, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I totally agree with that, because like if we just started talking a week ago and you say send me your location, I'm gonna be like, I ain't got one. I got an Android. I don't care.
Is that really an iPhone thing? You can't have a location?
With an Android you can, but it's Life 360. It's not the actual iPhone app sharing.
We're not going to get on any of that.
We're not going to do iPhone Androids, because I know we'll have some people in the comments saying some stuff.
That's right.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's not just an iPhone thing, but for iPhone users, they understand more than Life 360 Android users. But yeah, it goes back to what you were saying with Jesus, help me remember. You were saying about
being able to use the device in a negative or positive way. You're saying if someone asked you to share their location, you like, I don't have one. Like,
if we are just now talking in a week, you ain't getting my location. That's way too soon. Because I don't know what's going on. I might run home or something like that. But if we've been talking for a long time, and we are trustworthy, and I trust you, you trust me, yeah, you can get my locations because you've been in my house, you've met my mother, stuff like that. And when it goes back to parents, I have my physical mother and my spiritual mother, my pastor. And I will introduce any girl that I'm talking to both of them. Now, my mama is more on the mean side of the introducing to the ladies. In your face, she'll say, "Oh, hi, how are you? Good to meet you, Bam." And that's my nickname. She'll be like, "Bam, who was that little girl you introducing me to?" And then that'll be it. But with my pastor, I bring everyone to her because she can. I don't want to say read, but she can feel them spiritually to see if it's good or bad. And so I'm going to listen to both of them. If they say no to a female, oh nope, red flag, because I'm not going to say that they are going to try to stop my fun because they know I'm going to have fun regardless.
Right.
But if they say that no, that either something is not wrong with her, but something isn't right or it's a red flag, I'm going to listen to them. Because one, they have lived on this earth longer than us.
Right.
And so they understand that they know what can and what won't happen. And so that's why I have two people to balance it out, because I may be lost in La La Land talking about, "Ooh, she's so fine." And
Right.
Like, oh, and then my pastor, "No, but she ain't right for you.
Right.
Her
right.
spirit isn't right. Her mind isn't right. She's not on to the right track." And
So that's where we transition. I'm going to let you make the last comment on this topic, but as we transition as to when you get that one that like, she's so fine, he's so fine, and everybody is saying no, is everybody really following that no? Or
Yeah.
so we will come back to that. So
Yeah, just like ending off with the locations thing, necessarily too, I didn't really learn about the locations thing until like my parents told me to share their location. So it's like that kind of thing that's like, I got exposed to, sharing location with a trusted person, and it's that kind of thing that, if I don't trust my parent for my location, like the person that I'm supposed to like be committed to should also, share my location. I should share like their location too. It's like upholding those standards and like those expectations. So
okay.
yeah, and if I can share my location with my friends and everybody else, then I should be able to share my location with the person that I am talking with. That's me. If I can share with my best friend, my pastor, my sister, if I can share it with people that I trust, I should be more than able to share it with my significant other, my known significant other. Let's say it like that instead of my significant other.
Okay.
So we got a little bit of, we just want to
Tap into the chat.
Yes, we want to tap into seeing the door. Y'all can't see the door behind the door, but they were trying to get our attention. Y'all want to come out and let us know what you were saying, because I couldn't hear. We don't want to miss anything. Saquana, Dr. Taylor. What was?
We just have a couple questions about what's good or kind of.
Okay.
A couple questions. Okay.
One of the questions was from a parent who wished to remain anonymous, so I won't say the name. And she is the parent of an adult child who is currently in a relationship, and it is their child that is actually showing the unhealthy perspectives in their relationship and signs to their partner. And as that parent, and you want to uphold what is right, what do you do and how do you do that?
Okay, so one, I have adult children, so it's hard. Thank you for sharing that, because it's important to accountability, right? We love our children; they make mistakes, but it does not do them any good by protecting them from themselves, right? It does more harm. We have to say, this is what you're doing. I don't know that there's a playbook of all the things that to say, do this, this, and this, right? Parenting is hard. Does it say how old her child is?
She's in high school.
So if they're the ones who are displaying that behavior, there's some things that if they're not changing on their own, we cannot change our children's behavior. We can give them the tools to adjust their behaviors. We can let them know that here's are some of the consequences if you don't shift your behavior. But at the end of the day, we cannot change their behaviors. And unfortunately, that's going to have to be a hard lesson learned. I've had to do that with my children. Some lessons just have had to be harder for others out of my 4 biological children. And they didn't always make the best decisions, although we have tried to guide them into making those decisions. But, sometimes God wants us to bump our heads and learn. So there's pain into purpose sometimes. But yeah, you got to let them be able to move, and you let them know that you love them. But I don't agree with this, because we can still love you and not agree with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's another. Hold on a second, sweetie.
Yep. And how do they also be there for the partner who is experiencing this, because they're the parents of the partner who is unhealthy, and then they would like to hear from some of the young ladies in the back as well, because they want to hear from everybody.
Okay, so it's a parent who wants to know that how to handle it if their child is the victim of that.
Their child is actually the one displaying the
unhealthy
to the
other
child. But they also want to be there for their child's spouse, because they know it's not right. But how do you do that with the child too?
Yeah. So to me, again, personally, Nat, you can chime into this, because that's a hard. That's in any relationship, right? You want to see a healthy relationship, and if my son or daughter is the one who's displaying the unhealthy behavior, am I not allowed to comfort the one he or she is displaying, becoming a victim to? No, if you are that type of parent, whether you're wrong or right is right.
Yes.
I am not going to love one any less, but I am not going to stand by and condone the behavior. Like, I'm not going to. Yeah, you have to make that decision to see, but it shouldn't be one or the other. It should be what is right, what is fair. And this, if we're displaying unhealthy, violent relationship behavior, it should be shown as that. Like, we should move that way, right?
Yeah,
and it's hard.
It's really about holding just everyone to the standard of accountability. And if you challenge someone on that, and if they're struggling with it, then those are some tough pills that they have to swallow. But we really do want to hear from you all, from what she just posed, and maybe you guys might have a perspective for that parent that's struggling with that adult parent. Just think about yourself.
So what I would like to say, it is okay to care about your child's spouse, and I know sometimes it might feel like betraying them and your child, but that is totally okay. If there's any way you want to help, maybe ask to have a talk with the person's spouse and be like, hey, have you noticed this, or is there anything like you want to tell me about, or is there any way I can help you?
Right.
And I know sometimes you might be feeling like you're betraying your child, but also, you also want to make sure the other person is okay, and and let them know it's gonna be okay. And here are some things you could talk to them about, or help work with them, to fix the problem.
I love that. So, how can I help you?
How can I help you?
How can I help? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's also just like, if your child is like showing, unhealthy traits and everything like that, like they're hurting, and like kind of like giving them comfort, even though, you might be kind of disappointed, like seeing that, the person that you raised is not doing the most nicest things, but, you have to realize, they're human, and stuff like this happens, and it's not necessarily your fault, but that's just, this is the time for you to grow with them and let them also grow for themselves. Yeah. But yeah.
I love that. I love that statement, and it also takes the onus off of a parent feeling like they're responsible for their child's behavior. Right. After a while, you are responsible for how you show up in the earth, how you show up in relationships. And this is why we are constantly trying to have these conversations younger and younger, and with parents, guardians, anyone that's willing to listen, because there's so many different perspectives, so many different angles, so many different misunderstandings and people just trying to understand, how do I support? Am I stepping in? Do I, pull back? Am I supposed to, do this or say that? My child is saying, like, it's my fault, or is it my fault? It's just so many things. And then when you have social media tied into it, that's another tool that can be leveraged one way or the other. So if you guys just want to continue to speak to that. You had a question?
Well, I would just want to say teenagers don't act out for no reason. I would definitely say
parents hear that.
Come on, talk. Let's
Educators
talk to the
hear that.
Let's talk to the parents.
I was just going to say, where's the camera at? So I was just looking to the camera. So for the parents, just let you guys know, we're not acting out for no reason. I would definitely say it's something. It could be something going on in the household. Parents, you have to take responsibility. If you have done something when you were your child's age, and expect them to do the same thing that you do. So that's why parents, you have to watch what you do, watch what you say, watch your surroundings, because whatever you do and whatever you've done at that age, that child's wanting to do, and you really can't be mad at them when they do it and they actually get in trouble for it. You probably didn't get in trouble for what you did, whatever it is that you did. You probably didn't get in trouble. You probably didn't get suspended, but they did. And so and now it's like it falls into relationships now, because it's like I said, whatever is going on in that household, that child or that teenager is going to do the exact same thing, and it probably may stick with them for the rest of their lives. So parents really have to watch what they say around their children.
Yeah, not only just the parent, but anybody else who's living in that house. Because especially starting off with younger kids, because they are what we call repeaters. Whatever they see or hear or do, that's what they go do when they go to school or when they are not in front of their parents. Like, I have little nieces and nephews and stuff like that. And, I have to watch even what I say or what I do, because one day I'm just in the house watching TV and I hear my niece say, "Shut up, ugly." I'm like, how did you learn that? And I have to remember, I was on the phone kicking with my friends and I said, "Shut up, ugly." And now she repeating it. And so now I have to figure out how to take that out of her mind so she don't go around saying "shut up, ugly" to people. And so now I'm like, I got to figure out how to fix this. And so to the parents who did something when your kids are younger or older, it doesn't matter. Somehow you have to try to fix it. And for the parents who did their good job and the kids are still acting up, it ain't your fault. Everybody, at the end of the day, everybody's responsible for their own actions. Especially if your child is older than, let me say, like 14, 15, and you ain't do nothing wrong. Well, I'm going to say you ain't do nothing wrong. You ain't do nothing wrong in front of them. They should be old enough to know what's right from wrong. And especially when it comes to like the dating with the parents and stuff like that. If my child is being toxic to another child, of course I'm gonna step in and I'm gonna say, "Hey, that's not what we doing. We don't do that. We don't treat young ladies like this. We don't treat young men like this. I'm gonna teach you how to fix it. You've never seen me do this with yada yada. So let me show you how it's done." Especially with our young women, as the men and stuff like that. The first person that should be able to take your daughter on a date is you.
Exactly.
Men need to be the first person to take their daughter on a date to show them what how a man is supposed to treat a woman. And then also, like, I'm cool with my ex's mama. I was cool with her before me and my ex started talking. And still to this day, we cool. We locked in. So I do feel like that the parents of the two kids who are together should have a relationship with the other child and their parents.
I really would like to hear from you two about a message to the parents, and just giving a different perspective, and what tools of advice can you offer up to a parent that might be struggling with their child and just trying to get through to them? What would have helped you?
I guess not being so judgmental, and like y'all said, like letting me learn on my own, because I do have a situation where I was dealing with this boy. And then I told my mom about it, then she told my brother, and then my brother told my mom, like, like, that's not for Amira, like, shut it down. I'm like, no, like, I like him, like, he ain't did nothing to me, like, but I haven't seen that, my brother did. So it was like, I got in trouble for it, yeah. But then it was like, at the end of the day, I still learned like, yeah, that wasn't for me. And still to this day, he be trying to like, talk to me, but I be like, I'm not going. So I guess not being so judgmental and like just letting me learn, letting their child learn on their own, like what's right and what's wrong and how they should be in a relationship and how that other person should treat them in a relationship too.
Right. And you were gonna say something as well?
I was just gonna add on to that. I was gonna say, like, all because something happened to you doesn't mean it's okay for you to like validate it for your child. Like, if you got cheated on when you were younger and now your child's going through that, do not say like, oh, it's okay. It's it like, it's okay to say it happens, but don't say like, forgive them or something, because it's not really comforting. And also, what I would like to say is, don't pressure your child to do anything they don't want to do. Like, with my dad, he was really upset that I had a boyfriend, but he said, I don't think you should be in a relationship right now. But he didn't say like, oh, break up with him or I'm gonna take your phone or nothing. And he saw through my ex, and he was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think he's good for you. But if anything does happen, I'm gonna be here to support you. Just know, like, I tried to tell you, and I'm like, and the bad thing did happen, and I thanked my father and everyone who gave me the advice. I was like, thank you for telling me that, and thank you for making me aware of what happened. But thank you for not also like making me break up, or thank you for just letting me experience this, even if it was bad experience.
Yeah. Kudos to Dad.
That's
Kudos
a good parent story.
Yes,
Wow.
that is perfect. That's perfect.
Yes. Yes, of course.
I just wanted to add too, just like with parents, experiencing this with their adult children or just with any of their children, right? If they're in high school or even as young as middle school, I definitely think that too, it's important for parents to be vulnerable with their children and say like, hey, like, just say like, I'm not perfect, and just say like, hey, like, I've also made mistakes along the way. I think when parents admit that and have that vulnerable moment with their child, the child not only sees them as a parent, but they also just see them as like a human, somebody that has been through their circumstances, been in their shoes. They've gone through the journey of, adolescence and being a young adult, that a parent to admit that that maybe when they were younger they didn't know what healthy relationships look like, or they are admitting like, hey, like, I know I didn't set the best example for you to have healthy relationships or to have a solid foundation, but I know this was wrong then, but here is how we can fix that now to move forward, so you don't experience that, but also too, so when they have kids they don't experience that. And like, I think it was Romero Tony who said it, but like, you also allow that moment to grow together with your child, because personally, like for me, my mom had me when she was 20 years old, and I essentially with her being young, like, we grew up together in some ways. I saw her imperfections. I was able to also, because I saw her imperfections, I felt comfortable going to her about, like, hey, I messed up, but like, I don't want to keep messing up, or like, hey, like, this, I know this isn't right, like, how can I, like, move forward for it so we can make it right, kind of a thing. And like from there, like, you just really allow to develop that connection with your child, because I feel like now, as it was mentioned, like with social media and just like other outlets of communication, parents do feel disconnected from their children and how to talk with them, how they can relate to them, or to even how to even feel like helpful with them. Because I feel like a lot of parents, they do offer a lot of advice that can be useful, but sometimes their language or how it's being approached, that child feels disconnected from that information. So
I will say you are taking us perfectly into the next segment. So we want to talk about impact and action. What are some things that, because we're talking to parents, let's continue talking to the community, talking to your peers. We want to discuss the impact of unhealthy relationships, those dynamics, and the mental health and the well-being. What are some verbal, nonverbal indicators that, hey, something ain't right with me? And it could be because, I'm not happy in my relationship, or we're having some issues, or I'm depressed, or what are some tools that we could possibly lend, or what are some ways that we could be on the lookout to help support you all? And I want to hear from everybody.
I would definitely say a conversation will have to be done between those two people. If you want to say, hey, what's going on? What can I do to help? Back to that situation. Talk to the person that you're in a relationship with, or if you are married, talk to your spouse. Let them know, see, like, this is what's going on with me. What can you do to help? How can we do this? That's the only way to show that you actually care and that you actually want it to work and that you don't want to just give up because you see them do something. It's like if you see somebody do something they're supposed to do and you just leave them, it's like that. It's not going to help them. They're going to keep doing it because they notice that every time they do something wrong, somebody going to leave them. That person is actually seeking for help. They actually want somebody to really understand them, not just to leave them whenever they mess up or whenever they make you mad or something like that. So it can have a conversation what we do, or maybe even therapy if it goes to that extent. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I feel like, unhealthy relationships does have a really bad impact on your mental health. And I feel like some signs for me that my dad noticed when I got in my relationship, I was sleeping all the time. I wasn't as ecstatic about, about certain things. I wasn't, I always wanted to be alone, and I didn't want to talk about it. I was always ignoring, advice, because all I heard was when I got on my unhealthy relationship was "I told you so," and
nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear that.
And I'm like, that's not something you should be telling somebody at all.
Not at all.
So let's
Not
say
at
the
all.
parents, guardians, anyone that is, supportive or mentoring a young person, that we don't want to say those words. I told you so is not a way.
Answer.
It's not
It's not an answer.
It's not an answer.
Yeah.
And that is exactly why you don't bring your relationship up to your friends or even family members, because that's the number one thing. Is they gonna say, "Oh, I told you he was no good. I told you she was no good."
I would challenge that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know why?
It's a
Because
friend.
if you have friends and you trust your friends with who you are and they know what's best for you, I actually am going to bring at this age, and I think it might be different based on every person, but I am going to bring my person around my friends because there's blind side. There's a blind side that I don't see because I'm so, I'm into this person. I like them. I see the good, but there might be something else that I could be missing. But I do take it with a grain of salt, and you just see. But we don't take everything that because friends can be quite tricky at times, and they love you.
Exactly. That's why that's where it goes back. I'm sorry to cut anybody off. That's why it goes back with me until the two people that I have and I'm most comfortable with, and I know and respect what they say, my mother and my pastor. Now, with friends and stuff like that, no, because I trust and I love them too, but every advice that they give me ain't good advice. Let me just say that right now. I mean, also to go back to what all you were saying, a message to our parents, to the parents out there, therapy. Please don't be one of those parents that be like, I don't believe in therapy. If your child needs therapy, or if you and your child need therapy, or if your child need it, please allow them or y'all to go to therapy. Please. And do not treat your biological children or your stepchildren like the stepchild. Do not treat them like Cinderella. Don't, because some parents, thank God it's not mine, they treat their children like dirt, like I've watched parents talk about their kids to them and put them down and stuff like that. Don't treat your kids like they are something unwanted, because then, like while we're here talking about it, then they're gonna get into those toxic relationships because then they just want to feel loved.
Can I just say this?
Yep.
When you treat your child when they're younger like crap and other like rude and like you said dirt, they'll get older and they'll start to resent you. They'll start to not talk to you. They'll start to be mad at you because all you did all their life was talk crazy about them, laugh at them when they're hurt, and just be rude to them. It's just like like they're people too. You're raising another human being. It's not somebody that you can just tell something and then they forget. Like, no, there are a lot of things that kids really think about. They really go through. Us teens and young adults, we go through a lot. We have feelings. We go through situations when it comes to relationships, school, or anything of the matter. And I hate when parents don't take our feelings and what we go through to heart. That makes sense when we say like things like, "Oh, we're tired." Oh, what you mean you tired? You too young for that. Like,
yes. So do you want to give an example of some of the things that you may have gone through, of what you're comfortable with, or your other peers may have gone through that you felt like your parents didn't support you?
I know there was a situation where I told my grandmother something, and she didn't. Instead of her like trying to help me, she literally told me, she was like, "Oh, well, that's what you get." And I'm like, that's not something that you. And it kind of like made me not want to tell her anything anymore, because it was the same response she gave to my mom and the same response she gave to my uncle. So I'm like, okay, so this is just an ongoing thing, which is why I don't really tell most people in my family or my friends what I go through, because they'll either, ridicule me, talk about me, and make me feel bad about something that happened to me.
Okay, so we community gonna step in for a second. When we, because that what you guys are saying hit home, and we definitely, when we started this, was we wanted those messages to come to parents. Like I said, I have adult children, and everything that you said, I have done mistakenly. Like I wasn't listening. When you said, I've told this story before, is what y'all got to do. You can just do your homework, clean up. That's y'all work, right? But we underestimate what you guys really go through in the period of being in school. There's a whole lot of stuff that y'all deal with. So being able to express those things, you guys are teaching us how to listen a little bit better, how to hear you a little bit better, but then also we'll have another conversation of how we want you guys to hear us as well. Because as a parent, there are things that we try to do. There's a lot of variables as to why parents respond the way they respond. And it's not always because they don't love you or they don't care about you. It's because it's all they know, right? And so we have to change the behavior. When you guys are telling that to us, we can maneuver a little bit different as to, oh, I need to listen a little bit better, because the suicide rate is huge. It's continuing to rise, especially in Black and brown communities. And so when I hear you say that you hold on, or you guys hold on to some of the not talking to anybody, we don't want that. Yeah. So we don't want that. You just have to be diligent in regards to finding the tribe, the village, mentor, and like whether it's your pastor or something. And if everybody don't have all those resources, but you gotta be able to fight for yourself to say. But keeping things in is not. It's not it. It's not it.
It's not that we're. I know for most young people, it's not that we're keeping it in. It's just the fact of we want to be able to feel comfortable talking about our feelings and not feel rejected.
Absolutely.
And I can speak for a lot of young people when I say it's hard trying to find somebody to talk to when you're 16 years old about a relationship and about what you're stressed about and what's going on with you, because a lot of the times we have to face with the you're just a kid, you're still in the kid mindset. And you shouldn't be feeling that way.
Anyhow.
Right. Right.
And so it's like there are times when we do keep it to ourselves because we don't know who else to talk to.
Right.
So I feel like if we were more comfortable talking about our feelings, maybe we wouldn't keep it to ourselves. Maybe we wouldn't feel like we have to keep it to ourselves. I just feel like it would be more better if we were all aware and all comfortable talking about our feelings without rejection, without feeling like what we got going on doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, to kind of like piggyback on that. What do you call it? I do Sorry, there's like so many thoughts going in my mind as like
know.
discussion was being created. But I do think it's important that I had touched on this a little bit earlier in the episode. But when third parties start coming into into your relationship and having opinions and sharing their thoughts of, maybe that person isn't for you, watch out for this red flag, or maybe you should consider look at this person a little bit differently. I do think that it's up to the person who's in that relationship, that it's important for them to know that they're ultimately they're in the power, if they're going to allow that those thoughts or those opinions affect what their current relationship is. It's also up to them, how they're going to take that advice, because they can pick and just because somebody gives you advice doesn't mean that you have to take that advice to every single word they say. They can pick and choose what parts of that advice best fits them and best fits for their lifestyle, their current situation. And I do think for young people, I think it's important for young people to also, and young people, don't hate me right now, I'm sorry, because I'm going to hold us a little bit accountable here. But I do think for young people, yes, because of social media, because of COVID, confronting adult about serious topics like relationships, like feelings, is intimidating. But I also think, too, yes, it's intimidating because, one, being vulnerable, two, rejection. But three, I also think as a young person, it's important to hear that tough stuff that the adults are telling us, because those are the adults that care for us, whether that's your parents, those are your maybe your siblings, or maybe mentors who are a little bit older, because like I was mentioning, their love is blinding, and I've talked about that too in our youth group, and it was mentioned too that when we're into somebody, love can be blinding, and those parties, yes, they do offer different perspectives, but also too, and it is going to be hard to hear, but those are the people who are going to care about you, and better them tell you the hard things that sometimes are going to hurt a little bit to hear than some stranger, because you're not going to really resonate with some stranger telling you what you really don't want to hear. Right? You're going to be like, well, that person doesn't know anything about my life. Like, how dare they speak on me like they know me, X, Y, Z, and the third. But when it's from your parents or your friends, yeah, it's going to seem you're like, dang, they really had to say that, or like, dang, they really had to put me in the spot. But like, you start thinking about it a little bit more, and you're like, well, why did my parents say that? Or like, why did my best friend tell me that? Like, what are they seeing that on? Like, you start thinking like rhetorically a little bit more. So I think it's like a balance, right? It's a compromise that goes with young people, being willing to hear that, but also parents too, or just adults, mentors, etc. Also acknowledging that the advice that they're giving, they need to let that young person kind of be flexible in how they're going to take that advice, whether it's with a grain of salt, or also too, they're going to apply that differently in their own way, because again, touching on previously, like, all relationships are different, and how people move are going to be different.
Right. So we're down to our last 10 minutes. So we're going to let you finish, and then we're going to do one little quick wraparound in 5 minutes, and saying the last things that you want us to know, you want the community to know.
The community.
So
yes.
we're going to keep that part short. Finish your thought, and then we'll go around and have a short. What do you want the community to know? So go ahead.
Yeah. So just like to talk about like being quiet and kind of like taking things like for yourself and everything like that. Like, at least when it comes for me, I come from generations of like hardworking, problem solving people, like my family, I come from immigrants, I come from people who have like worked really, really hard to get here. So it's like my experiences and my definition of what is hard and what, is like challenging for me at this moment is so different for them. So it's like that kind of thing that's just like, yes, I could like somewhat resent them for being like, oh, oh, that's nothing, what did I tell you, all that stuff. But at the same time, their experiences and their intuition about stuff like that too is so valuable, and I take a lot of inspiration from them. So, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's beautiful.
So at 2 hours, wow.
I mean, it didn't feel like it.
It didn't feel like it.
We feel like it, did it?
Right. And we only touched the surface.
It's so much more.
Many more conversations need to happen. So what is the one thing that you guys would want the community to know
about these love loops?
Okay, so what I want the community to know about these love loops, I feel like always try your best, parents, to really understand where your child is coming from. Don't take them as they're disrespecting you. Don't take them as they're always, just finding something to be angry about. Really sit down, make it a habit to ask your child, how was your day? What do you have going on? What do you want to do today? Something like that. When you treat your child like that, they'll become the adult that you want them to become.
Okay.
They'll become the person that you want them to become. If you have to understand, children are going to be adults like you are. So if you want the best for them, you have to allow them to sometimes fall on their face. You have to allow them to just understand life in the way that you want them to. You can't really be mad at them or be concerned or something like that when you see them, want to be in a relationship with somebody. And it's kind of, it'll make your child understand, okay, I can do this and I can talk to you about what I should look forward to in a relationship. And I feel like we as teens, we just want to understand, just like,
So what you're saying basically is, to sum up, is that you want parents and the community to take you guys for face value, not to just
exactly.
Yeah, so
that's exactly what I'm saying.
To hear you, basically, is what I heard you say.
Just to hear us, because
So I don't want to cut you short, but we do got to get through the rest of them because the live is going to end. So yes, so that's what you wanted to portray.
Yes, that's what I wanted.
So I wanted to make sure. Okay.
I wouldn't say like it's okay to be vulnerable. Like it's okay to talk to your parents, because I know I'm not a big talker on like my feelings. I'm not a big talker on my feelings. So like it's okay to be vulnerable. Like let your parents know like what you're going through, because they can help you with whatever you're going through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Thank you.
My one thing is, like statistically, 2 out of 3 teenagers in Wisconsin alone, have experienced, teen dating violence or a type of abuse. So I think it's important that we're creating safe spaces for our young people to support each other, to uplift each other, because like we had mentioned too, like our young people, those are, what did you say, Romero? Those are our, not monkey see, monkey do. Those are our repeaters, right? So them seeing, our young people seeing, adults create community amongst young people, to see community amongst, different types of audiences come together. That's showing the message to them, like, hey, like, there are adults who care. There's adults who want to support young people. And also, too, like, it's showing them like there's young people like doing it. There's young people who are young entrepreneurs. There are young people who are artists. There are young people who are speaking out on their voice and being advocates. So I do think it's just important, to bring that statistic down, that 2 out of 3 kids, that's 2 out of 3 of us right now, right? Kind of a thing.
Right.
Nobody has to disclose or anything like that, but it is an alarming statistic because overall in the nation, it's about almost 2 million teenagers who experience teen dating violence.
Wow.
So creating safe spaces is just really important.
Yes,
that's why this is extremely important.
Yes.
Yep.
What I like to say to the youth and to the parents, whenever something bad happens, move on from it, because don't let it eat you up, and don't let it, destroy your peace. A lot of bad things happen, and I know it's difficult to, process that or to get over it, but there's more to life than bad things, and you should just move on. Don't let that destroy you at all.
Absolutely.
Good advice.
I think just something that stuck with me in the car that we said was hurt people, and you should never, just only think about comforting the victim, but also, like understanding the person who is also hurting someone.
Yes.
So
That's good stuff.
Yep. Man, you guys are helping the community out.
Yes. I had to take notes because I didn't just want to be rambling.
Come on, notes.
Yeah, the notes saved me. to our community, what I want you to know and to take from here is that bitter parents makes bitter children.
That's going
And then also we have to break generational curses, and there is no age limit to break generational curses. You could be a parent and break them curses, and make sure you have talks with your children, and remember to listen more than you talk. Also trust your children, give them the ability to make mistakes, but trust them. Parents and kids also make sure that you are taking accountability for yourselves, parents and kids. And also, when they were talking about the stuff about love, and we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but abuse is not love. And if you are going through something and somebody's hurting you or something like that, abuse is not love. Do not stick through it. Don't go through it. And that's all I'm going to say. So thank y'all so much for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm telling you, we love this. I just get so full every time we have these conversations, and we just absolutely love you all's transparency. And we are going to have these conversations again.
More often.
You guys were teaching the parents and community. Community is me.
Community is me too.
And I hear you. Some of the things I heard is too late, but it's never too late, right? So there's some things that we can change. We own what we can change, but understand that we all need some grace and some because people have gone through things, and sometimes we bleed on one another, but that does not give an excuse. I heard you as a parent, and I heard you as a community.
Thank you.
Yes. Laverne summed it up. I'm over here processing because I truly appreciate your level of transparency, your level of intellect, emotional intelligence. Like you guys are there, and you really taught all of us something. So we will be asking you back because there are more conversations to be had, and this platform is essentially for you all.
Yes.
That's really what it's about. So on the behalf of Laverne and I, Expose the Podcast, and of course the City of Milwaukee Community Wellness and Safety, we want to thank you guys for having, for one, the courage.
Absolutely. Yes.
The courage. So give yourselves a round of applause, and we just want to round it up. Thank you guys so much.
Yes. And shout out to all those behind the scenes that made this happen.
Yes, shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
It's a lot of happening.
There's a lot of happening back there. That happens. So, all right, you guys.
With you.
Have a good one.
Thank you guys so much. Take care.
Bye.